Throughout history, the thirst for power and the fear of losing it have driven rulers to commit unspeakable acts. Among the most tragic of these are instances where kings and emperors, driven by paranoia or political necessity, ordered the deaths of their own children. These acts of filicide reveal the dark side of absolute power. On the cold winter evening of November 16, 1581, the Grand Palace of Alexandria was drenched in an unsettling silence. It was within these walls that Ivan IV, better known as Ivan the Terrible, was pacing furiously. His face was etched with lines of frustration. The turmoil of his realm seemed to echo in every step he took. Ivan Ivanovich, his eldest son, was equally disturbed. He had come to confront his father on matters of state and personal grievances, hoping to bridge the ever-widening chasm between them. Their conversation began with tension, quickly escalating into a heated argument. The younger Ivan's insistence on matters of governance and his own aspirations was matched by his father's fiery temper and tyranny. Words were exchanged, voices were raised, and reason gave way to rage. In a moment of uncontrollable fury, Ivan the Terrible grasped his royal scepter, brandishing it with anger. Before reason could take hold, he struck his own son with a blow that resonated through the halls. The room was instantly filled with a deafening silence, broken only by the labored breaths of the wounded prince. Ivan Ivanovich staggered, his face paling, a crimson flow emerging from his temple. As the realization of his actions dawned upon the Tsar, a grotesque mixture of horror and despair contorted his features. He dropped to his knees, cradling his dying son, the scepter clattering to the floor. "What have I done?" His voice trembled, echoing in the haunting silence. Tears, rare and bitter, streamed down his face. In the grand city of Istanbul during the height of the Ottoman Empire, a tale of unparalleled complexity and tragedy unfolded. Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent, a ruler known for his wisdom and vast empire, found himself at the epicenter of heart-wrenching decisions. His eldest son, Prince Mustafa, was a figure of admiration and hope, loved by the people and respected by the army. Mustafa's charisma and leadership promised a bright future for the empire, making him a natural successor in the eyes of many. However, the palace walls whispered of treachery and betrayal. Hurrem Sultan, Suleiman's beloved wife, wielded significant influence in the court. Intensely protective of her own son's futures, Hurrem sowed seeds of doubt in Suleiman's mind. She alluded to Mustafa's growing popularity and influence and hinted that his ambition might pose a real threat to Suleiman's throne. These whispers were further fueled by Grand Vizier Rustam Pasha, who, fearing for his own position, supported the narrative of an impending coup. Sultan Suleiman, caught between his love for his son and the insidious paranoia that had overtaken his judgment, made a grave decision. In the autumn of 1553, while the army was encamping in Konya, Mustafa was summoned to his father's tent. Unaware of the impending doom, Mustafa approached with a mixture of hope and trepidation. As he entered, he was met not with his father's embrace, but with the executioner's cold grip. Strangled by his father's command, Mustafa's life was brutally cut short. The news of Mustafa's execution sent shockwaves through the empire. The people, soldiers, and even foreign dignitaries were astounded at the Sultan's decision. In the year 326 AD, the Roman Empire thrummed with anticipation. Emperor Constantine the Great had achieved legendary status, not only for his victories on the battlefield, but also for his unprecedented support of Christianity. Yet, beneath the facade of imperial grandeur, a dark tale of betrayal and intrigue was brewing. Crispus, Constantine's eldest son, was a promising young man. Brave, intelligent, and charismatic, he had proven himself in multiple military campaigns. The empire saw him as the heir apparent, a natural successor to Constantine's throne. However, the corridors of power are rarely without shadows. Crispus found himself ensnared in a web of allegations and suspicions. At the heart of the storm was Fausta, Constantine's wife and Crispus' stepmother. Rumors of an inappropriate relationship between Crispus and Fausta began to circulate. Whether these allegations had any grounding in reality or were merely a fabrication of political maneuvering remains a matter of historical debate. Fausta, a woman of ambition and cunning, may have seen Crispus as an obstacle to her own son's future ascension. Accusations flew and tensions escalated. Constantine, renowned for his strategic mind, found himself in an agonizingly personal dilemma. His love for his son clashed with his duty to preserve the stability of his reign and the legitimacy of his rule. Under the heavy burden of alleged betrayal and the potential threat to his legacy, Constantine made a harrowing decision. He ordered the execution of Crispus. The young prince was put to death, and the empire was left to grapple with the shock of his sudden demise. The mystery did not end there. Shortly after Crispus' execution, Fausta met a similarly tragic fate. She was executed on Constantine's orders, reportedly suffocated in an overheated bath. Whether this was a belated sense of justice or a removal of yet another rival remains unclear. Constantine's heart bore the scars of these decisions for the rest of his life. The executions of Crispus and Fausta cast a long shadow over his reign, a reminder of the ruthless depths to which even the most celebrated leaders can fall. In the annals of history, Constantine is forever remembered for his role in the rise of Christianity. But the tale of Crispus serves as a haunting counterbalance, illustrating the often cruel cost of power and the inexorable march of fate. In the heart of the Ming Dynasty, a tale of ambition, betrayal, and unyielding authority unfolded. Emperor Yongle, the formidable ruler of China, was a man who had weathered wars, power struggles, and palace intrigues to sit on the dragon throne. Known for his relentless drive to consolidate power and expand China's influence, Yongle faced his most personal and heart-wrenching challenge not from foreign adversaries, but from within his own bloodline. Zhu Gaoxiu, Yongle's second son, was a man of fiery ambition. He resented his father's favoritism towards his elder brother, Zhu Gaozi, who was designated as the heir apparent. Feeling undervalued and overlooked, Zhu Gaoxiu's heart hardened with envy and rebellious fervor. Determined to claim the throne he believed was his destiny, he rallied a faction of disgruntled nobles and orchestrated a brazen coup against his father's reign. The rebellion was swift but brutal. A series of bloody skirmishes swept through the kingdom, disorienting the court and threatening the stability of the dynasty. However, Yongle, a veteran of many battles, had a strategic mind sharper than a blade. He mobilized his loyalist forces with calculated precision, crushing the rebellion and capturing Zhu Gaoxiu. The defeat was unequivocal, but for Yongle, the treachery of his own son was a wound too deep to ignore. Consumed by a mix of paternal anguish and imperial fury, Yongle decreed a punishment that would serve as a grim reminder of his unassailable authority. He ordered that Zhu Gaoxiu be executed by Lingqi, death by 1,000 cuts, a method reserved for the most heinous of crimes. The execution was a slow and excruciating process, symbolizing not just physical pain, but a profound spiritual admonishment. As each cut was made, it echoed Yongle's resolve to eliminate any threat to his rule, even if it meant annihilating his own flesh and blood. The execution of Zhu Gaoxiu was more than a son's tragic end. It was a dramatic assertion of Yongle's ruthless commitment to his sovereignty. It sent a chilling message across the empire. The dragon throne was sacrosanct, and any attempt to usurp it would be met with unmatched severity. In the annals of history, this poignant episode stood as a testament to the harrowing decisions faced by rulers and the extreme measures taken to maintain power and order. It illustrated the complex tapestry of loyalty, power, and the heavy burden of imperial responsibilities that shaped the legacy of Emperor Yongle, a ruler whose reign was as formidable as it was merciless. Herod the Great, King of Judea, is a name that echoes through history with tales of paranoia and ruthlessness. Ascending to the throne, Herod was determined to secure his reign against any and all threats. This determination soon devolved into a crippling fear of betrayal, even from within his own family. In 7 BC, his paranoia reached a fever pitch. Convinced that his sons Alexander and Aristobulus were plotting against him, Herod ordered their execution. The judgment was swift, the execution brutal. This act sent shockwaves through the kingdom and cemented Herod's reputation as a ruler who allowed no room for dissent, even from his own flesh and blood. Yet, Herod's paranoia did not subside. The closer he felt to the end of his life, the tighter his grip on power became. His eldest son, Antipater, who was once seen as a trusted heir, also fell victim to Herod's growing mistrust. Just 5 days before his own death, Herod ordered Antipater's execution. This final act of cruelty ensured that no one in his bloodline could immediately challenge his rule. Herod's story is a haunting reflection of how the thirst for power can corrode even the strongest of bonds, leaving a legacy marred by fear, betrayal, and bloodshed. In the cold, stony confines of the Tower of London, 2 young boys, Edward V and his brother Richard, Duke of York, found themselves trapped in a perilous game of power. The year was 1483, and the untimely death of their father, King Edward IV, led to a volatile struggle for the English throne. Their uncle, Richard III, a man shrouded in ambition, assumed the role of Lord Protector, only to quickly declare himself king. The young princes, rightful heirs to the crown, stood in his way. Rumors swirled as the boys vanished behind the tower's thick walls, never to be seen again. Whispers of foul play haunted the halls of the English court. Some claimed to have seen shadows of men carrying out sinister orders, their faces obscured, their intentions dark. Yet no evidence emerged to define their fate conclusively. Many believed King Richard III to be the orchestrator of their disappearance, driven by a ruthless need to secure his claim to the throne. As autumn leaves fell and London's fog thickened, so did the mystery surrounding the princes. Weeks turned into months, and hope began to wane. The people of England speculated and mourned, but silence reigned. The Tower, a fortress meant to protect, had become a place of tragic enigma. Centuries passed, but the story lived on, stitched into the fabric of English history. The ghosts of the tower, young and innocent, served as haunting reminders of a time when ambition knew no bounds, and the price of power was sometimes paid with innocent lives. The truth, buried deep within the walls of the tower, remains a secret that history guards jealously. Emperor Peter the Great of Russia was a visionary whose grand plans for reform were met with both admiration and hostility. His bold vision to modernize Russia often put him at odds with the traditionalists, but Peter was unwavering in his purpose. Among those who stood in uncertain ground was his own son, Alexei Petrovich. Born to be heir to the throne, Alexei was a far cry from what Peter deemed necessary for the future of Russia. While Peter was impassioned by the West and enamored by progress, Alexei inclined towards conservatism, favoring the old ways that his father so desperately sought to change. This divergence in ideology sowed seeds of distrust between them. The unease was not just a private matter between a father and his son, but extended into the political fabric of the nation. Whispers of Alexei's collusion with anti-reformist factions reached Peter, deepening his suspicions. The prospect of his own blood challenging his reforms was something Peter could neither ignore nor tolerate. In a fateful turn of events, Alexei was arrested on charges of conspiring against the throne. The corridors of the palace echoed with cries of torture as the young prince was subjected to brutal interrogation. Days turned into weeks, and the once vibrant Alexei withered under the relentless torment. In 1718, Alexei's suffering came to an abrupt and mysterious end. The official records were shrouded in ambiguity, but the prevailing belief was chillingly clear. Emperor Peter had orchestrated the demise of his own son to secure the path of his vision for Russia. The death of Alexei Petrovich left a dark stain on Peter's legacy. Historians and citizens alike grappled with the moral complexities of a ruler who sacrificed his progeny for the dream of a reformed nation. Upon the grand opulence of Topkapi Palace, Sultan Murad III ascended to the Ottoman throne in the year 1574. The sweet fragrance of jasmine and rose that adorned the hallways contrasted sharply with the grim determination etched across Murad's face. The weight of the crown bore heavily upon him, but it was the Ottoman practice of fratricide that cast the darkest shadow over this ascension. According to tradition, the new sultan must eliminate potential rivals to secure his reign and the stability of the empire. For Murad, this meant ordering the execution of 5 of his own sons. The corridors of the palace, usually resounding with the laughter and play of children, fell silent as the grim orders were carried out. The executioners, faceless and obedient, did their duty with grim efficiency. The once vital pulse of youth was extinguished before it could ever challenge his reign. Though Murad intended to prevent internal strife and rebellion, the act left a dark stain on his legacy. The people whispered of the horror in shadowed alleys and behind closed doors, questioning the price of power and the brutality it demanded. Murad's reign would go on to be marked by significant achievements and monumental failures, but the blood of his sons scarred his memory in the annals of history. The brutal realities of Ottoman succession, crystallized in Murad's first act as sultan, served as a chilling reminder of the lengths to which power-hungry men would go to secure their rule. Where tolerance and compassion could have sown unity, bloodshed and fear instead took root, highlighting the stark contrast between the grandeur of the throne and the savagery lurking behind it. The legacy of Sultan Murad III is thus a tapestry woven with both triumph and tragedy, each thread a testament to the complex and often harsh realities of ruling an empire. His story, teetering between absolution and condemnation, continues to echo through the corridors of time, a sobering reflection of the past and a grim lesson for future rulers. Throughout history, the tales of rulers who took the lives of their own children have served as grim reminders of the corrosive effects of power. These haunting stories reflect the lengths to which leaders will go to secure their rule, often at an unimaginable cost. Each narrative not only unveils the tragic consequences for succession but also lays bare the psychological toll on the rulers themselves. One of the most chilling examples comes from the Roman Empire. Emperor Constantine the Great, known for Christianizing the empire, ordered the execution of his eldest son, Crispus. Suspected of plotting against him and accused of adultery with his stepmother, Crispus's death caused a rift within the empire and left Constantine with a legacy forever tainted by his inability to trust even his closest kin. Similarly, the Ottoman Empire tells the story of Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent, who ordered the execution of his son, Mustafa, based on court intrigues and false accusations of treason. Mustafa's death led to widespread public discontent and shook the very foundations of Suleiman's reign, as the populace mourned a prince they had dearly loved. The Russian Empire witnessed a tragic familial rupture between Tsar Ivan IV, known as Ivan the Terrible, and his son Ivan Ivanovich. In a fit of rage, the Tsar struck his son, leading to the young Ivan's untimely death. This act of violence marked not only a personal tragedy but also destabilized the realm, as it led to a period of political turmoil and uncertainty. In all these cases, the ruler's desperate attempts to cling to power reveal the inherent fragility of human relationships under the pressures of absolute authority. Their legacies are marred by these violent actions, and the historical record serves as a somber reminder. Power, when left unchecked, can consume even the bonds of family, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake.